welcome to For the Birds with Richard Cole. And here he is, the one and the only Richard Cole.
One more time, here we go.
Yep. And it's great to have you here. And it's such a fun topic today.
Oh, it is. It's springtime, sort of, almost.
Yeah.
And we've just gone through a period where the trees are all bare here, and all of a sudden you can't see down into the woods now. The trees are popping out with leaves. And it's springtime, and the birds are singing all over the place.
I love it.
And, of course, it's time for nesting, mating and nesting.
But the one thing is you see fewer birds at the feeders now, right?
Yeah, late winter, there's not a lot of food out there, and the birds are all over their feeders, and it's really great time for watching the birds at your feeders. Then pretty much quickly, all of a sudden, where'd my birds go?
Yeah.
And there's just very few coming to the feeders. And the reason for that is territories. These guys are claiming territory, so we may have 6 or 7 pairs of chickadees around, and all of a sudden there's like 1 or maybe 2 keeping the rest of them away and trying to claim that territory where the feeder is, a place for nesting. And they've got a food source. So they will become very territorial, and they have to all spread out to find their little territories so they can raise their young. And so you don't see so many birds. That'll stay that way now for probably 6 or 8 weeks until that starts coming to an end and this mating cycle is over with. Then they'll start forgiving each other a little bit, and they'll get more back together to the feeders.
Oh, that's nice.
But in the meantime, not much going on at the feeders.
Yeah, you really miss them. But are there certain times of day that are a little bit better than others to see the birds?
It'll come and go.
Yeah.
It's hard to say when. I think if it gets a little rainy, you get a little slight cold snap here in the springtime, you'll see more birds come in because more birds will fight through the territorial squabbles to get to the feeder because they need to. But in general, it's just somewhat unpredictable. You just go through times when I know in the last 2 or 3 days I have seen so few birds at my feeders. You start thinking, what did I do wrong? And nothing. It's just that's the way it is. Those birds have spread out. They've got other things on their mind. They're not going to starve to death. But they'll sneak in and hit the feeders when they can, but you won't see near as many there.
Right, I gotcha. So we hear that birds mate for life.
Yeah.
And I've especially heard that about geese. But do birds really mate for life?
Sometimes. Sometimes. And it's a really mixed bag. A lot of the larger birds do tend to be much more like that. Geese, eagles, a lot of the large birds tend to have mates for as long as those mates live. So it don't mean they won't move on if the mate dies, but then you can have these guys live a long time. So yeah, they can mate for life, but it's not so much for most of the birds. We tend to think of it that way, but no. Cardinals or stuff will kind of stay with their mates over several seasons, but most of the time we say mate for life, it really is for one breeding season.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it's about, and that's not even exactly the way it always goes. There's a little hanky-panky going on every now and then.
A little cheating.
Yeah, a little bit. And they know some of this through genetic testing.
Oh, I wondered how we know it.
Yeah, they're learning more now because of genetic testing. And you find out that several of the birds, and not all of them, have the same father.
Yeah.
And which is interesting, sometimes they'll find out the mother is not the same.
Oh.
And you say, wait a minute, how does that happen? Well, egg dumping. Sometimes some birds will lay their eggs in other nests. I don't know, I'm trying to go into the reasons what for, but it probably helps to spread them out sometimes. And so you will have somebody raising the babies, and one of them's not even theirs for either one of them. Or one of them, maybe that's the father, maybe it isn't the father. They don't seem to care too much. They work it out, and whoever's got the nest there, they maintain the nest, they take care, and they raise the kids.
Now, let me ask you specifically, because I've never had the joy of parenting any other bird other than eastern bluebirds. We have nesting boxes. And you see the male and female at the nesting box all the time and coming and going, even picking out. But am I seeing the same couple all the time?
It's really hard to tell since they all look alike.
It's
very difficult to tell. But yeah, probably.
Yeah.
The male's going to mind the territory in most cases. That's what they do. They've watched the territory, they've selected it, and she chooses the male or the territory. She may be more choosing the territory than the male. It goes both ways. And then he'll protect the territory and then bring her food in many cases. Some of them are more parental than others.
Yeah.
But like the bluebirds, the male is always bringing food back to the female while she's sitting on the eggs, etc. So he's a typical good father.
They
And
are.
a lot of the birds that way.
They
Cardinals
seem
are
like
nice.
they
Yeah.
really share the workload.
Yeah, and there's
That's
a
what's
lot
so
of
sweet.
work because
Yes.
where these guys have to spend their entire waking hours going around looking for food.
Yeah.
One of them sitting on eggs can't do that, so the other one has to bring enough food, find enough food for both of them.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
So what does that courtship look like? We've seen, I think everybody's seen these dramatic, like bringing her blue or doing a dance. But for most birds, what does that courtship really look like?
It's a gamut of everything. It's from almost nothing to do with courtship other than the mating itself.
Yeah.
And then it's like, get the mating done, do the eggs, and maybe do help with the feeding and all. But others have, like you said, the elaborate rituals, the big dances, the ceremonies. Some of them, the bowerbirds, build these elaborate little displays on the ground that look like an entryway and all. Looks like where you should get married, standing beneath these things. And others, the cardinal is a nice example. You'll see the male feeding the female. That's pretty much the courtship. They're around each other. They follow each other around. He'll follow her around. And but he'll also go find things, and she'll be there, and he'll go hand her a seed or something. It's like everybody's, oh, that's so nice. So it's different for each one of these species, and it's a wide range of these types of activities.
Is it the female who ultimately makes that choice, though?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It seems like it.
Yeah. In many cases, and like I said, it's probably a cross between finding the right male or finding the right territory. Probably more the territory.
Yeah.
And here's somebody who will defend this territory. I think my young will be good in this territory. I think there's food available for us, and I think this guy can watch out for us.
Okay.
More of that, yeah.
Yeah. Makes sense. Have all the birds already started nesting? I know we have a couple of bluebirds nesting in our backyard, but have most birds started nesting already?
Not necessarily. Just a wide, everything's, it's nesting time. Well, actually, nesting time started several months ago.
Really?
For the larger birds. You get owls and things and the larger birds.
Yeah.
They started in January and February.
Yeah.
And that's way back then. And they start basically late winter. And their young will be out soon. But they've got a long season to go to get those young up and on their own well. But now,
look at that
another
picture.
very
That's
common
so
bird, American goldfinch.
Yeah.
They're not even close to getting ready for the mating season yet. You're talking June, July,
Yeah.
late in the year. So it's a wide range. I don't know if that's by design or just happened that way. But many of the birds have these. They all do it about the right time for that species, but the species across the board is a wide range of when they start and stop. Of course, birds like the bluebird will keep going from early all the way into late. It had 3 and possibly sometimes in rare cases 4 broods during the year. And other birds will do that. Some birds only do it once.
It is a lot of work. I can't believe how much bluebirds do. They never are stopping.
They can't. It's just too much. You've got 4 or 5 hungry little mouths to feed and the female. So the male's out there working all the time, and she's got to take care of them and get them. Oh, gee.
And then teach them all to fly? Yeah. It's a lot.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what birds, I would think, during the mating season and during the nesting season that they need more calories. Is that right?
Probably not.
No?
They're doing what they do.
Yeah.
And, I don't know if any of them done a calorie count on a daily basis or not.
They have to eat a lot anyway.
But yeah, they eat a lot. They have very high metabolisms. Their body temperature is typically around 103 degrees. These are high functioning machines.
Yeah.
And they need food all the time to keep them going. And of course, they can survive short periods without food. Like a few rainy days, they'll be fine. But they have a high
metabolism. They need to keep going. They need the
food, but pretty much all year they need it.
Yeah.
In the wintertime when it's really cold, yeah, they might need to bring in a few more calories, but I don't think it's a big difference.
What's the best thing to feed them during the summer and spring months?
About the same thing you feed them anyhow.
All year?
Yeah, because you have to remember part of their diet, you put the feed out there, you put a feeder out there and you say, oh, this is for the birds, this is what they're going to eat. That's not all they're going to eat. That's a diet supplement. And yeah, they may rely on it heavily at times, but basically they're out there foraging for a lot of other things in their territory. And birds eat a lot of insects, a lot of insects. And if you watch carefully, these birds come into the nest. You won't see sunflower meats in their mouth a lot, or sunflower seeds. You'll see insects in their mouth. And so they're really good at finding insects, and they eat a lot of insects. But they also eat a lot of berries and other things, and even a lot of little small vegetation matters, like little buds just starting on trees. Sometimes these guys will pop those off and eat those because they're tender and they're full of protein.
Yeah, look at these two. I love that picture. Isn't that great? They're like, I'm getting that berry. No,
Yeah.
I'm getting that berry. You're not getting
Fight
it.
for the last berry.
I love those mouths open like that. So is it too late to clean your nesting boxes? If you haven't done it already, should you just leave them?
Not necessarily. What you need to do is, if you've waited this long, which you shouldn't have, but if you have, you approach the nest, stand off to the side of it, rap on the back of it, tap on the roof a little bit and see if anything comes out. Don't get right in front of it and try that, because you could have a bird right in your face and it will scare you to death. So just stand off to the side. And if you don't see anything, open the door carefully while standing to the side and then peek in. If it's a full, nice-looking, clean-looking nest in there, just put the thing back on. They're building.
Yes.
They're building. If you see eggs in there, they've already got a nest going, so they're fine.
And leave them alone.
But if you're looking at the nest, it looks a little older. If you see droppings in it, it's an old nest, because there should be no droppings in that box. So you throw the whole thing out, you just get it freshened up, put some fresh straw, clean out the box, and then let them fill it up.
Okay.
They'll be fine. But if there's something in there, leave them alone.
Yeah.
I even, when I catch the bluebirds after a brood, the first brood's out, I'll throw the old nest away. I'll hose out the box and let them start over. So, you threw their house away. You threw their furniture away. It was no good anyhow.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I've watched a female bluebird literally build a nest in a day.
Have you really?
Yes, they are very good at it. They go very fast. It may take a day or two, but they can do it much quicker if they need to. You don't want to leave an old nest in there, even if it's the same season, because there could be parasites in there that will infest the next birds, or it's just a messy nest. And if they build on top of that, they're closer to the hole at the top.
Yes.
That makes them susceptible to predators reaching in the hole and grabbing
Yeah.
them. So just throw the old nest out. The bluebirds rebuild every
Okay.
single time without fail.
Okay. So we've talked about the natural feeding sources like insects and berries. Are there a lot of spiders out there right now for them to eat?
There's a lot of spiders, yes. And they tend to be more populated as we get further into the year, too. So there'll be some out there now, and the insect population will keep building. I think most of the insects I see now are like little things in the ground down there, the flying things, and you'll see a lot more as we get down toward the fall.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Right now, I kind of like it because I do see a lot of pollinators, but I don't see a lot of spiders yet. And I'm glad, because I don't care about seeing them. So what's your favorite thing about the nesting season, Richard?
Just watching it, and just seeing this process, and it goes year after year, and really several times during a season, these guys are creating new life. And in the case of bluebirds, at least twice a year, sometimes 3 times, sometimes 4 times a year, and all the other birds, to some extent, are doing that range of breeding and nesting. And they're putting a lot of new lives out there to maintain that population.
Now, have you seen a lot of first flights? Like the little baby bird coming to that hole and flying out for the first time?
I've seen quite a few.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
I kind of know when it's about to happen, so I tend to watch a little bit more.
Yeah.
Sometimes my cue will be I'll see one on the ground.
Oh, let's talk about that.
Yeah, and once I see one on the ground, it's like, keep your eye open, because that probably isn't the last one. And you just kind of watch, and a few minutes later, you might see another one. It may be an hour or two. You'll see the adult birds flying around or hopping around. Like, what are they doing? They're just checking for their young and who might be on the ground.
Yeah.
And that does bring us to the other subject.
Yes. If you see a baby bird, what do you do? An abandoned baby bird.
Abandoned baby birds. Yeah. Oh gosh, everybody wants to be so helpful in those kind of situations because there's a little baby bird. They're darn helpless. They can't fly. They're out there on the ground. What are you going to do? Well, you're going to pick it up and you're going to take it inside and you're going to take care of it and you're going to call some society who will, no, it's never good for the bird.
Right.
That's
you leave
rare.
it alone.
Yeah, you're doing more harm than good, really, although it seems bad to leave the poor little thing. Most likely it is not abandoned. Most likely it did exactly what it's supposed to do. It jumps out of the nest and whoops, I can't fly too well, and it's on the ground. Maybe all of them will be on the ground. Some of them may actually manage some flight to a limb.
Yeah.
Some of them are on the ground. They'll get over, they'll find some shelter. If you want to help at all, and if you see the bird might be in immediate danger of being run over or eaten by your cat, you go put them into a bush, not very far away. Just put them out of the middle of the line. The parents will find them, especially if you're not hanging around. The parents are not going to lead you to them. They'll get out of the way. You say, well, I don't see any parents. No, you won't, because you're there.
Right.
You're a predator.
Right.
So give them a chance. Stay out of their way. Let them be, and it'll work out better in the long run in most cases.
And I've heard that there's no way they're going to survive without their mom teaching them all that they need to learn, right? Like you can't rehabilitate them, can you?
You can. If you get a baby bird and raise it, it can do okay. Even from a young point. These guys are imprinted. They don't learn.
Oh,
as
I didn't
much.
know that. I didn't know that.
They're born with the knowledge.
Okay.
Most of what they need. There's very little learning. There's some learning, but not much of it. What they need is somebody to feed them because they're not very good at getting their own food early.
Yeah.
But they progress very rapidly. They grow very rapidly. I mean, if you think about it, the time they hatch time they come out of the egg, basically they're darn near able to fly. But just give them another week, then they're there. It takes a couple of weeks. And then they're ready to fly and get on their own and can function, and they're about the size of the adults.
Yeah, yeah.
So it goes very quickly. And, of course, within a month, these guys, it's hard to tell sometimes what's the babies and what's the adults.
Yeah, it is.
And they know what to do. I wish we were like that.
You know what? I love how they just, the bird parents are better at kicking them out of the nest, right?
Yeah.
But they do know what to do. And I love how they compete for it with each other, like those mouths open.
Yes.
Get out of my way. I want it, when somebody's there with the food. But I wanted to ask you about, so you have a certain food combination that you really like, that you kind of recommend, that you've gotten used to, right?
Of course, the Coles line we've developed over many years, and do I have my favorites? Yeah, sort of, kind of,
Yeah, your
But
basic
I started
go-tos.
playing with one of our somewhat newer products last year. I started using it more.
Okay.
And it's called suet kibbles.
Yeah.
The little pellets of suet, as opposed to big cake hanging in a block. And I put that in a Bountiful bowl, one of our feeders. And then I can also add mealworms to it if I want to. And it's a great treat. The birds really, really like that stuff, being fed in these open containers like that. I was surprised at how many birds would go to that when there's a full feeder of nice stuff right next to it. They'll go to the bowl with the suet kibbles in it. So I'm kind of like recommending, that's a good thing to try. You can get the Coles Bountiful bowl. You put some suet kibbles in it. You can add some mealworms in with that. And if with one of these little feeders, if you don't have a good place to hang it, so you have to put it somewhere the squirrel might be able to get into it, just take and treat the suet kibbles with Coles Flaming Squirrel seed sauce.
Yeah.
That will make it so that the squirrels really won't like that taste. The birds will still love it. And you can sit it right there. The squirrels will leave it alone, and the birds will love it.
Yeah, and I
there's
do
some
want to
birds
show,
eating
really quick, some Flaming Squirrel seed sauce. So we'll go to hot and spicy, and this is the Coles one-stop shop that we're looking at now. But this is what you're talking about, and this really is an amazing product, right?
Oh, it
I mean,
is.
this just, you can combine this with any birdseed, right?
Yes, and you put it on there. It's mixed with some safflower oil and some things, and it's got a capsaicin in it, so it's very hot to the taste to mammals, not to birds. Birds
Right.
don't care. Birds love the stuff. You can put this on your kibbles. You can put this on your bird seed. If you have bird seed that's not Coles, it's not already pre-treated, then you could just add this to it and keep the squirrels out of. You want that little feeder right outside your window, but the squirrels come in there and hopping into it every time. You can't stop them. You treat your seed with this, and you don't have that problem. You can enjoy the birds and not the squirrels.
So one of the things that I love with Coles is all the different things you can do that just suits you, right? So I know you use this a lot, and a lot of people do, and they love it, and you can use it with any kind of seed. But I actually love the hot meats because it's already done for you. You don't have to mix up anything, and you don't have to wear the gloves and all that. You just buy the hot meats, and there's other hot products that Kohl's has, and that's what I have, like up on my porch. And that's what,
the sunflower meats, hot meats, is basically pure sunflower meats.
Right.
Every bird loves pure
They
sunflower
do.
meats because
They really
there's no
do.
shell to crack, so little birds that can't, little warblers and all who can't crack a shell can eat sun meat, so it's like a little insect.
Yeah.
And then you put the capsaicin on there, the flaming squirrel pre-treated on there, and you can put this stuff just out on a railing if you want to, or in a bowl. Squirrels going to leave it alone, and the birds are going to eat it.
So it's perfect.
It's perfect. Yeah.
And there's something for everybody with Kohl's, and that's one thing that I absolutely love about it. Again, Kohl's OneStopShop.com. You can buy these products straight off of the website, and you can get just about any product or feeder that you want. You can just order that online. You can also go to Kohl'sWildBird.com. If you're, if you want to go inside a place, you can just put in your zip code, and that way you can go into one of the many retailers that we have, and you can get your products there as well. And the one great thing about going into the retailers is that a lot of times people have so much birding knowledge, they can answer your questions and help you out with it.
A lot of these people in the stores will be able to help you and give you some encouragement and tell you what to do and what not to do. So it's always good to check that. And of course, if you can't, check out Kohl's One Stop. One of the things you'll be able to see and on Kohl's website is all of our product lines. So sometimes when you go into some of the stores, you won't see everything we have. Check out and see and you may be able to say, hey, Mr. Retailer, I would like this. Can you bring it in for me? And they might do that.
Yeah.
So.
And also, if you want to become, and I do want people to go ahead and take a look at this, see all the products, you can learn about them. Some we have videos about, so you can learn a little bit more about all the products. But like Richard said, you know, if they're not carrying something that you want, just mention that you'd like them to. And that way you can go in ongoingly and buy from a retailer. But also, really quickly, I do want to mention, of course, we have Kohl's Facebook page where you can go and interact with other birders and form that community. But we've also started a Facebook group page called The Lazy Birder. And I'll go to it here on my computer and show it to you. But it's just a fun place for people to gather and be part of that community and enjoy. You know, you can post your pictures. You can also just post your insights, and it's really fun. And we do want to invite you to be a part of the Lazy Birder. So it's just Facebook.
The Lazy Birder?
No, are you a lazy birder?
I'm a lazy birder, yeah.
All that's meant for is to say, like, this is for people who, they're not hardcore, like, bird watchers, but they just enjoy feeding birds. They enjoy, you know, just the chance to interact with them. These aren't the type of people who are going to go on special trips and do that kind of thing, but just have fun and look at the birds. And we've got great pictures on there, and we would love for you to join and become part of that community as well. And I think that's all the time we got today, Richard.
It always goes so quickly.
It did. It went by so fast. And we're so glad that you could join us. And we'll see you next time, right?
I hope so.
In May for the Birds with Richard Kohl.
Hello, this is Richard Cole. I want to thank each of you for watching, and I want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to share it.